Hey everybody, welcome once again to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. I'm Glenn Rubenstein, joined tonight by Raj Giri, and we're going to talk all about WWE Tables, Ladders, and Chairs, the pay-per-view that just wrapped up right now as we're going to record this. Raj, how's it going?
Good. How are you?
Doing well, man. So that was an interesting pay-per-view. We had 2 title changes, 2 retentions, and we'll get into all of that in a second. But first, I just want to let everybody know that this episode of the Wrestling Inc. podcast is brought to you by WWE Slam Crate, powered by Loot Crate. Tag into a bi-monthly box for the WWE Universe, loaded with exclusive and authentic collectibles, plus apparel that you can't get anywhere else. Save $3 off your first box at lootcrate.com/wrestlinginc when you sign up and use the coupon code Wrestling Inc. That's lootcrate.com/wrestlinginc. So yeah, let's talk about everything that happened tonight. To start with, did you watch the pre-show?
It was on in the background.
And that's probably, just as enjoyable, I think, as watching it closely. So the only match of note, or the only match that occurred during that was a 10-man match that was mixed tags and singles. We had Apollo Crews with the Hype Bros and American Alpha versus Kurt Hawkins, the Vaudevillains, and the Ascension. I don't know about you, but all I thought of when I saw that screen come up was, man, poor American Alpha, that this is who they're lumped in with now.
Yeah, I mean, I've been saying that for months. You keep lumping him in with these guys, and fans start seeing them on that level, and they're not near as over as they were when they first debuted. They need to get him out of this mix. I don't know right now if they're going to stick with Rhino and Heath Slater against the Wyatts. I feel like American Alpha is a clash of styles with the Wyatts than Rhino and Heath Slater. So I would move to that, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's tough that there's no real legitimate competition for American Alpha. I mean, the Usos are the closest thing to it, but I don't know. I mean, compared to those barn burner matches they put on with the Revival and NXT, there's nothing of that caliber that I think speaks to their unique technical skill set to really showcase it on SmackDown.
Yeah, the thing with the Usos, they never really got that going. It's like they're feuding one week and then they're not the next, and then they're on the same team at Survivor Series and they're getting along. So I just felt like that never had a proper blow off, and they could go back to it. The Usos aren't really doing anything, but yeah, it's just, they're the best tag team on SmackDown by far. So it'd be a shame if they're not used better than they have been.
Actually, you know who is perfect were some of their teammates tonight. I could see a very credible and good feud being done between American Alpha and the Hype Bros. Because the Hype Bros, I mean, especially with Mojo Rawley, I mean, you have someone that comes from an athletic background in football. So I think that's the closest match we could probably have to that sort of, style.
Wait, with the Hype Bros and who?
American Alpha. I'm saying that, I know, but look, the Hype Bros, I think, could go heel. I mean, look, at this point, because people are this emotionally invested in the Hype Bros, turning them heel would not be a big deal. You could draw on Mojo's past athletic ability in football. Ryder can sort of pass to do that athletic style. I'm just saying it would at least be a credible showcase, because when you have American Alpha in there doing collegiate amateur wrestling against the Vaudevillains or the Ascension, it seems kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
You have athletes versus comic book characters. This is essentially, what we have here.
I think a feud with unless they turned Mojo Rawley and Zack Ryder heel, I think that would just bring them down even further, doing anything with American Alpha.
Yeah, you'd have to build them up. Them up.
Yeah, and real quick, Matt Morgan, his son got a little sick tonight, so he's not able to make it, but he will be back on tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night for our Monday Night Raw show. Matt, we hope your son feels better soon. So of course that match, American Alpha, the Hype Bros, and Apollo Crews won. Kurt Hawkins was in the match. That's one, like, if he just never showed up on TV again, do you think anyone would even ask any questions?
It's their version. It's the SmackDown version of Jinder Mahal. They just bring him back for really no reason except to have a warm body, I guess.
Jinder, they did something with him. What they did with him was sort of offensive. No, I'm saying they gave him some screen time. He got involved in some match. I mean, it was borderline offensive, sure, and a little xenophobic, but at least they used him in a I don't want to say credible way, but they tried to do something a little bit of substance by turning him into this, anti-American heel or whatever they were doing with him for a while there.
He was doing that peaceful guru thing there.
Yeah, that was the last I saw. Is he just on main event now? Is that just where?
I think that's,
we don't know.
Yeah,
because we're not watching.
It doesn't. It doesn't really matter. But yeah, I mean, the same thing with with Brian Myers. Why is his name escaping me right now? Kurt Hawkins.
Yeah,
he just they didn't even try. I mean, they have him losing right off the bat, and here he is.
Well, we certainly got a lot of vignettes leading up to Kurt Hawkins trying to make us care, but no. And actually, that's the funny story that could be told, and we'll get into this more with the main event. But it's amazing. Here's a great example of the WWE universe in action. Kurt Hawkins got 6 weeks, 2 months of those little commercials with the Chuck Norris facts, trying to build interest in Kurt Hawkins, and what has been one of the biggest SmackDown success stories this year. One, the joke with Heath Slater and Heath and Rhino becoming the phenomenon storyline that it was for a while, but James Ellsworth. We went from a jobber that did one appearance and organically got more over than Kurt Hawkins with 2 months of vignettes and push ever could have. So I think that kind of shows that the fans really don't want to be force fed who they're supposed to care about at this point. So let's talk about the TLC pay-per-view itself. So that was the pre-show with the tag match. And then we had a tag match opening the main show, which was a SmackDown tag team title match. Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt versus Rhino and Heath Slater. I hate to say it. I mean, with the Wyatt family winning and now Randy Orton and Bray Wyatt, the tag team champions, do you think this is sort of the end of the road for Rhino and Heath Slater? Perhaps will they be going to the main event status, main event the show status in the near future?
Well, they don't have main event for SmackDown anymore.
Oh, so that's true.
They don't have a show to go on.
Dark matches.
Yeah. I just don't see where else they go with them. I think that gimmick kind of died out a little while ago. So, I mean, they could do another month of rematches, between them just to keep it going, and then move on to American Alpha or something like that. Someone in the comment section thinks they're going to go with the Wyatts against Kane and Undertaker at the Royal Rumble.
That'd be cool.
They kind of did that at the Survivor Series already last year.
They did and then the kidnapping of the Undertaker. Did anything ever happen with that storyline? So they kidnapped the Undertaker, they kidnapped Kane, and they never even bothered to explain they escaped like that. I remember that thread at the time, and it's just so annoying when they do things like that, and then it's never referenced again.
Yeah, if people in the comment section, if you're also watching Talking Smack, let us know what James Ellsworth is saying. I know he's on right now, but so I think it's a good move for the titles. At least now it feels important. It didn't feel important before, and I think that's been one of my gripes with SmackDown. I think every week people feel like SmackDown's a better show than Raw. It just doesn't feel as important as Raw. The angles and stuff.
Because I would argue that SmackDown is really more to the point of Max Landis said, SmackDown is the epitome of a show about a professional wrestling organization. I've compared it SmackDown to a wrestling version of the Muppet Show in the sense that we're seeing what goes on behind the scenes and in front of the scenes. And I think that's been the most interesting stuff, whether it's been The Miz and Daniel Bryan, seeing the stuff Dolph Ziggler with his career, the storyline with Heath Slater and Rhino. I feel like they're more trying to tell stories with wrestling being at the center of it, as opposed to it being a strictly competition show.
I think if you were to make SmackDown 3 hours, you would kind of have the same problems that you have on Raw. I think not having that extra hour, but really, in a lot of ways, SmackDown and Raw aren't really all that different. The formulas and everything are still kind of the same. You don't have Stephanie and Mick, which I think helps it a lot. But other than that, the backstage vignettes and all that kind of stuff, it's just done similarly enough. They're not, you watch both shows and it's not like they feel like different companies.
But the weird thing is, with Talking Smack, we have a half-hour dedicated show that features zero wrestling, where they literally just have in-character, interviews. I mean, it's a different dynamic. It's interesting how that's so beloved. But with Raw, you could say Raw easily spends a half an hour doing out-of-ring stuff each week. Why does it work on Talking Smack so much better, if you consider the show as a package?
Well, I think Daniel Bryan has a lot to do with it. Yeah. I think I think if it was The Miz hosting every week, it wouldn't have near the critical acclaim
Yeah, we didn't get a chance to talk about that, taking this past Wednesday off. But what was up with that, and how he tried to do it at first, were sort of out of kayfabe, where he was like, "I'm Mike Mizerin," and he kept referring to the Miz in the third person. That was kind of weird.
Yeah. I mean, the Miz, when he does the WWE stuff, he just comes across as like a company guy. He just doesn't come across as authentic. Whereas Daniel Bryan, you don't know which parts he's, are what he's told to do and what he's actually saying, from the cuff. And he mixes it so well, and he's just great at that. So I think he just makes that show, so entertaining. It's interesting. He was on Sam Roberts' wrestling podcast recently, and he talked about, he didn't seem like he's always crazy about doing talking smack. He said,
really?
Yeah, he was saying that there are times he doesn't really. There are times he enjoys it, but they will often tell him to stop talking about something, or feed stuff in his earpiece.
That's what makes it so good. Maybe is the fact that Daniel Bryan just does not give an F when he's on that show, and that's why. And with the Miz on there hosting it last week, it seemed like he had so much he wanted to say. And so much that he wanted to do, and he just wouldn't shut up. And I think with Daniel, I love that. I love that Daniel. I kind of feel that about his stance in the WWE right now. It's like clearly contractually obligated, so he's just going to show up and do what he feels like doing when he can.
Yeah.
So what's interesting in the chat comments, Meow Man 123 pointed this out. Every title holder on SmackDown is a heel right now.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting after tonight. I wonder how that'll sort of affect things going forward.
I just don't see like the strong baby faces to oppose him right now. American Alpha hasn't been built up enough, in my opinion, to, they'll probably go with them, but they're not like a strong baby face tag team right now. You've been doing Ambrose to death versus AJ. And Becky Lynch and Alexa is going to continue, but for the other titles, it just, I just don't know where you go with, especially in the world title situation. You keep doing Ambrose because that looks like the plan, but man, it's been going on forever. It feels like it.
Well, we can't verify it, but in the chat, someone's saying on Talking Smack they've announced that it'll be Ellsworth versus versus Styles for the title.
Oh, this week. Is on SmackDown this Tuesday.
Yeah, place your bets on that one. Although tonight, okay. When and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but when Ellsworth turned on Dean tonight, I was looking at the ladder. Did you think for a second, holy crap, they're going to put the belt on Ellsworth and just completely blow everyone's mind?
I did have that. I did get scared there for a second. Like that was his, but it would have made no sense because he's not in the match. It's not like he has a Money in the Bank contract, but they could have done. I'm glad they didn't.
That would have been better if he would have grabbed it and he was like, "I'm the champ." But they're like, "Technically, James, you weren't in the match." And then they would set it up for whatever the next one was. It actually would have been the best way to cop out of this match.
I am so done with Ellsworth. I just think he takes any seriousness out of this whole thing. He just drags it out.
Yeah, I could see that. But to the point about the title holders being heels now, all of those baby faces, I think, are in their best element as underdogs. American Alpha as an underdog is great. American Alpha as champs in NXT didn't really do anything for me, but them on the journey. Becky is a phenomenal underdog. Dolph, I don't know if they're continuing that route, Dolph against the Miz, but Dolph works better as an underdog. And I think Ambrose as champion, like the Mean Dean character, like that, I don't know, that fell flat for me.
And he's lost enough times that, and I don't see them putting the title on him at this point, especially if they do go with Styles against Undertaker at Royal Rumble. Yeah, it doesn't make sense to have Ambrose beat him. We are still like 2 months out but
from the Rumble, is that the end of January?
Yep.
Okay, gotcha. So about 7 weeks. Yeah,
the last 7 weeks. So it'll be interesting to see how they keep it going.
Yeah, so here was a match with zero stakes, although we did get an important plot twist out of it. Carmella versus Nikki Bella tonight in a no DQ match. This is something that came about from Talking Smack. They did note that tonight. And I know when we talked about it originally, Raj, we were saying that, when Daniel Bryan said, he wanted to see Carmella versus Nikki Bella in a no DQ match, that was just him sort of, going off the cuff and shooting for a second there. And lo and behold, now 2 months later, it actually happened. What did you think of that match itself?
I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was weird when they came out with the taped fists, trying to make it like a real fight, and then her ass is hanging out of her shorts. Like there's if you're gonna go with that tough look, then go all the way. You know,
hey, she didn't wear the shiny trunks tonight. She wore the matte black serious fighting
right
trunks.
Yeah.
So, you know.
So yeah, but yeah, other than that, you know, I thought they worked hard. I thought it started off pretty bad, but you know, for what I expected, I thought it was a lot better.
And the button on the end of the match, which Nikki Bella won, is that Carmella revealed that it was Natalya who attacked her at Survivor Series and made her not able to compete. So do you think they're just going Natalya versus Nikki Bella now for the new storyline?
And I'm glad because so many times you'll see them start an angle like that and they just drop it and never, you know, reveal anything and move on. So I think it's good that they did it. I think everyone saw it coming that it was going to be Natalya, and you know, that Nikki versus Carmella has been going on a long time too, so it'll be good to move away from that for a bit.
But are we going to see Carmella versus Naomi now in the C-level feud slot?
Yeah, I guess.
Oh God, it's unfortunate for Naomi. I mean,
well,
Carmella.
You could do Naomi against Alexa because she beat Alexa.
Oh, that's true.
But I don't think they're going to go away from Becky yet when she just.
No, this is going to be like Sasha and Charlotte over on Raw and just keep going back and forth from now until the end of time.
It could be.
Okay. So we'll keep on going here and talk about what came up next, the ladder match for the IC title, the Intercontinental Championship between Dolph Ziggler and The Miz. But I want to thank one of our sponsors, and that's DDP Yoga, DDPY. You've heard us talk about it time and again here. They've changed countless lives. Many of the past and current roster have benefited immensely from it. Guys like Jake Roberts, Scott Hall, Chris Jericho, and Mick Foley. Oh my God, he looks the best Mick Foley has looked in a long time. Goldust looks phenomenal. And why? DDPY. So if you've been thinking about taking control of your own health and fitness going into the new year, DDPY is having their biggest sale ever, their ho holiday sale, which is underway already. For a limited time, you can get the DDPY DVDs for 25% off plus 3 months of full access to the DDP Yoga Now app. Or if you're a digital only kind of person, you can get just the DDP Yoga Now app for 25% off. You can also buy a max or combo pack at 25% off and get 50% off the second one. So buy one for yourself, give the other one as a gift. Surely, in addition to turning your own life around, you know someone who could stand to get on the right track with DDPY. So if you've been on the fence about starting DDPY, this is the best time to get on board. We want you to head on over to ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. Stop procrastinating. Get started now. ddpyoga.com/wrestlinginc. We thank them for sponsoring the show. So let's talk about this Intercontinental title match, Dolph Ziggler versus The Miz. I guess the big news from it is that The Miz retained, but I mean, what did you think about the match itself? I mean, we didn't, see the typical template for how these things have gone down. I mean, what did you think of the match?
I thought it was great. I thought both these guys, I thought they did an awesome job. I thought Miz was great. They were selling. I mean, their selling was awesome. So, yeah, I really like this match. I mean, these guys have such great chemistry. I mean, they've been feuding forever. Or, again, a lot of these feel like forever. I guess a lot of these feuds started like right after SummerSlam. But it just feels like it's been going on, since the brand split. But these guys, I mean, they have great chemistry together. I mean, it was probably the second best match on the show.
Yeah, it was solid. But I think they gotta change it up just to not keep coming back to this, because I think with this, the IC championship, I think, should be the one that somebody different is gunning for it week in and week out. Because and I say that as opposed to the main championship, because I feel like more of SmackDown's roster is on the level of the Intercontinental Championship and shouldn't be in the main title picture. I mean, do you agree?
I don't know. I don't really know who you put in, because the Intercontinental title used to be to get someone ready for the next level. It's like to get them ready for the world title. It's not that so much anymore. Now it's just a secondary title. But I feel like Miz has just done such a great job that that putting someone in a feud with them, will help bring them up. So I don't know who you put in that feud though.
Yeah, not Apollo Crews or Baron Corbin.
No, and their roster is just so thin. I mean, they really need to call some guys up.
Yeah, or move Sami Zayn over.
Yeah, and Sami Zayn would be a great person to put in that spot.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, what do you think about that? So, just to touch on briefly, at a show, what was it, in Osaka, Japan, Nakamura won the title back from Samoa Joe, correct?
Yeah. I think that was expected.
Yeah, and so they're going to go to probably a rematch at the Royal Rumble weekend show. But do you think after that, one of the two or both? Well, not both, I guess, because one's got to retain the title. But do you think we'll see one of them move to SmackDown or Raw after that?
I'm sorry, who?
Do you think we'll see Nakamura or Joe? I guess whoever loses that match.
Well, the Nakamura and Joe, I think, is pretty much done now. Now that Nakamura regained the title. No, now they're going to move on with Bobby Roode.
Oh, that's right.
So that's going to be at the takeover. So usually that's what that means is, you lose the NXT title, you lose the rematch, you get called up. So yeah, that would be my guess. I think SmackDown needs Samoa Joe more than Raw right now. So yeah, I think it's the right time. Who knows? Maybe they might do it as soon as this week.
Yeah, that would be very interesting if that were to happen so quick. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who you put in the IC match. Looking at the roster here, I always feel like there's someone I'm forgetting, and then you realize, like, nope, that's the actual roster.
It's not the deepest. I mean, you could if you got someone else for AJ, and I don't think like if Samoa Joe comes up, I don't think you should put him in there with AJ right off the bat.
Yeah.
So you can always move Dean Ambrose down to the IC title picture and feud with The Miz, but I don't think that helps Ambrose any.
God, the only singles wrestlers not in any storyline right now. Okay, so Apollo Crews, Kurt Hawkins, Jack Swagger.
Yeah.
And nope, that's the only singles male wrestlers not in a storyline currently. That's crazy. Maybe Rhino and Slater break up. Maybe I don't know. Actually, Slater in the IC championship picture, I could see if they kind of want to give him something to do.
They could.
He's liked.
Yeah.
Plenty of material for the Miz to work with there. So I don't know. But yeah, I just don't want to see the same thing again. But you're absolutely right. It does feel like we're seeing sort of around and around the same people, the same storylines week in and week out. And that shallow roster is certainly showing interesting. And I don't think there's a bad news about signing, but on the official WWE Superstars page for the SmackDown roster, it does have both members of the Spirit Squad, Kenny and Mikey, showing on that page. Have you heard anything further about them getting signed?
I don't even ask. Yeah. So I just know that they weren't, but
yeah. Well,
yeah. So someone suggested Neville, and I think
please.
I think Neville. Yeah, that would be a good spot. I think he can. He's much more valuable in the cruiserweight division. He can really help turn that thing around.
When's the last time Neville was seen on television? I mean, we haven't seen him on Raw in ages.
Him and Sami Zayn teamed up. What was that pay-per-view a couple months? Was that SummerSlam?
Maybe that was SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
So yeah, I can't remember seeing him since.
The man the WWE forgot.
Yeah.
But he would be great in the cruiserweights on SmackDown, really anywhere. I mean, Neville is just a really, really good wrestler.
It's fantastic.
I don't know why. I would love to know behind the scenes. I mean, does Vincent K. McMahon think he looks like an elf? I mean, what is it? But he looks weird, but not in a James Ellsworth weird kind of way where Vince gets a kick out of it, and says, push him. Actually, that should tell you more about all these guys we've heard over the years. Vince is like, oh, he doesn't look like a superstar. He doesn't look, like kids aren't going to buy his merch. So it's like, apparently you either have to be classically good looking and really athletic or just a really weird, freakish looking dude. And then Vince McMahon loves you. But if you're in between, you're just lost in the shuffle.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't get it. So this match happened tonight. We had Baron Corbin versus Kalisto in a chairs match. That do anything for you?
I thought this was surprisingly good. I thought this was way better than I expected it to be. I thought, again, they both worked hard. This was, I think, Baron Corbin's best match since he's been on the main roster, and so I was pleasantly, surprisingly entertained. I thought this was a good match.
Well, I'll tell you, I liked that Baron did some elaborate stuff with the chairs. I liked that a chairs match I think is tough to really get excitement around, right? I mean, people love tables, people love ladders, but with chairs, what we saw tonight, you can hit each other with chairs or you can set them up and power bomb people through chairs. Those are basically the two options.
It's a dumb name for a match. Just because
chairs match?
Yeah, just call it no DQ and you could use chairs because it's not like you need to use the chair to win. like a ladder match. You know, you need to climb the ladder to win. It really has nothing to do with the finish. It's actually the same thing with the TLC match. Yeah. The name TLC, it's really just a ladder match, because you can't win with the other two. You can't win by putting the opponent through a table. So it's just a ladder match. That's no DQ, so you could use the other objects.
Oh my God, I've got what would be the best chairs match ever. This should be the 10 team tag matches that they're so fond of doing lately, and do it like musical chairs, where you have guys literally beating the crap out of each other. You take a chair away, you know, at a certain point, and you want the last one to get a seat. I think that's how you do a chairs match and give it real, you know.
Yeah.
Something. I'm telling you.
So yeah, so the stip doesn't make any sense, but I thought this match was good.
This year, at least, they dropped the whole in stairs thing. Remember when it was tables, ladders, chairs, and stairs? They were trying to make that happen.
That was another stupid thing. They had a stairs match, right? It was like Big Show, and I want to say it was like Kane or someone like that.
We've got to talk to Matt. We got to talk to Matt Morgan about these steel steps that we always hear. Oh my God, the horror! He slammed him into the steel steps. If it makes a sound like you're hitting an empty trash can, it can't be that hard of a surface.
Well, yeah, well, let's ask him about it tomorrow night, and he'll be back on. For those who tuned in late, Matt couldn't be here tonight. His son was a little sick, so he'll be back tomorrow.
Cool, man. So let's take a moment right now before we get into the women's match. I want to thank our other sponsor of this episode, and that is Slam Crate. WWE Slam Crate powered by Loot Crate. So you've heard us talk about it before. I'm actually wearing one of the Slam Crate t-shirts that came in the previous crate, which was a limited edition Enzo and Cash shirt. And what's cool about Slam Crate is it's a bi-monthly box for the WWE Universe, loaded with exclusive and authentic collectibles, plus apparel that you can't get anywhere else, like this limited edition shirt that I'm wearing. So these crates are handpicked and created by Loot Crate, and each crate contains over $60 in value. You can see comes in a nice, attractive box here. Says Slam Crate on it, and when you open it up, you see that you get all these goodies of limited edition merch. The first crate that came out had some limited edition New Day figures, limited edition Mitch the Plant, Grow Your Own Mitch the Plant. Remember that with Dean Ambrose. Had a Nakamura poster, which I will not unfold, but was in here. Austin Aries card, World Championship pin, NXT patch, Dean Ambrose belt buckle, limited edition Sasha Banks sunglasses, and of course the aforementioned Enzo and Cash shirt. So what's cool about this is you get these crates that have over $60 worth of WWE exclusive merchandise inside them, and the cost is like under $30 for each crate that you get. And you could save $3 off your first crate at lootcrate.com/wrestlinginc when you sign up and use the coupon code wrestlinginc. That's lootcrate.com/wrestlinginc. WWE Slam Crate, powered by Loot Crate. Go over, check it out. Great for you, and great if you're getting a gift for a wrestling fan this holiday season. Seriously, or get a gift for yourself and sign up and subscribe. I'll tell you, it's like great because it shows up, and it's like this whole box of presents that you get for yourself.
I was amazed how much stuff was in there. Like, because I got one too, and man, it's a ton of stuff. The girls took the Sasha Banks sunglasses right away, and the New Day toy. But yeah, it's a lot of stuff that's in there. It's just keeps going. But yeah, it's really a great value.
And what I love about it is you can tell with the Mitch the Plant inclusion that this is a crate for fans by fans, that they're doing the kind of stuff that the WWE would never sell because they're like, oh, that's too hardcore. But no, Slam Crate subscribers, you're the hardcore fans. So you're going to get this really cool one-of-a-kind merchandise. Again, that's lootcrate.com/wrestlinginc. Use the code wrestlinginc to save $3 off your first crate when you sign up. So let's talk about this women's match. Some people were heartbroken here in my household tonight that Becky Lynch has lost the women's title, and Alexa Bliss is your new women's champion. What did you think of the match itself and how they used the tables, given that this was a tables match?
I thought they tried. I thought the crowd was really unforgiving. They were just silent. They did not care about this match at all. And so I think that hurt it a lot. I mean, you could hear individual chants during that match. So I think that really hurt it. I just thought this was probably the weakest match on the show. And
which is a shame because I mean they're great wrestlers with great characters. And do you feel like maybe with Becky's undisclosed illness or injury a couple months back that sort of derailed the momentum they had, and they've just been trying to get that back with their feud?
Well, I think a lot of it is, well, I don't know, because Alexa, I think, is great. Like, I think she's got the look, the personality, but I don't think she's ready yet to be in that spot. I mean, this is, when you look at Charlotte and Sasha, and then you see this, Charlotte and Sasha just seem like another level, and we know Becky can go. So I just think Alexa's not ready for that spot yet. I think she definitely will be. She's super talented, but I would not have gone with this title change yet.
So it makes me wish they'd gone with what seemed like the original plan when Nikki came back and was on the heel team. Because I'll tell you, Nikki versus Becky, I think that would be, that'd be a very good feud. But of course, with Total Bellas and the Bella Twins being beloved, I just don't think Nikki's going to go heel anytime soon. But yeah, I thought, and the table thing seemed a little awkward with the way they set it up, but I liked at the end. I liked that it had a little momentum there, but yeah, not the best match I've seen them do. And I think they're in danger just with that Sasha Charlotte back and forth. Like, it was the first thing I said to my wife when she was bummed that Becky lost. I was like, she's going to have the belt again, probably before the next pay-per-view.
Probably. Yeah.
Yeah. It's just the way
this isn't over.
Yeah, not by a long shot. But it's unfortunate because I think that, time apart character-wise makes it more interesting and special when they come back together. So maybe they do put them inside feuds now, and maybe we get Becky versus Carmella for a couple weeks and Naomi versus Alexa, and then have Becky and Alexa showdown again.
Yeah, they would. I don't see them doing that. They usually don't, but we'll see.
In a perfect world. Yeah. So let's talk about this match for the WWE World Title: Dean Ambrose versus AJ Styles. Now, we did mention before, Styles retained, and it was one of those matches, man. I mean, where they were really putting it all out there. Well, in the case of AJ Styles with this tight splitting, he was literally putting it all out there. So I kept thinking, I don't know, I was just like, are they gonna try and fix it? Because it seemed like it could have gone more extreme in a bad way there.
Yeah, he got his tights ripped in the second worst spot they could rip, So I was almost expecting when James Ellsworth ran out, I was almost expecting him to come out with another pair of tights so he can, change or patch or something. But this match was phenomenal. It was awesome. Yeah. I mean, AJ he's the year he's having is just amazing. He's just on such a roll. It's insane to think, and we'll talk about this with Matt tomorrow, because he was there when AJ was let go from, or left TNA, and WWE didn't pick him up. And just to think, those are, and granted, he got more over in New Japan with that New Japan run, but man, he's just awesome. So I thought this match was great until when Ellsworth came in. I groaned. I think a lot of people predicted that he would turn on Dean, but I'm just done with that. It just took all the seriousness. It took, not all of it, but it just took it down a bit.
Man, so I know we touch on this periodically, but if you don't like James Ellsworth, how do you watch the SmackDown main events for, I don't know, like the last, pretty much since Ellsworth came to SmackDown? Because he's involved, man. Like, he's in that story. I
think that's one of the reasons why I just feel like SmackDown doesn't feel as important and as the stuff on Raw. The world title programs, and they do a lot of comedy on Raw with Owens and Jericho, but it just feels like a bigger deal right now.
I think part of the reason for that, well, I mean, Owens and Jericho are really, really funny. I don't think, and Dean is funny, but I don't think AJ is funny. I mean, no, I think he's capable of humor, but even him as a heel, I don't know. I mean, do you like sort of the heel persona, the way he plays it? The whole
I think
runs the camp face that runs the place thing.
Yeah, I do. I think he's been doing a good job at it. I mean, he doesn't try to do like the comedy that Owens and Jericho do. And
it's different style.
Yeah, and I think he's been great at what he does, but Ellsworth is bringing him down. It's just hard to. It just feels like an Intercontinental title feud almost, with great matches, as opposed to a WWE Championship feud.
Yeah,
with Ellsworth involved.
Yeah, although if it was just between the two of them, I don't know. I don't know if they could sustain that. I think with Styles, I'm going to go on a limb and just say I don't think Styles has found his defining character yet. He's been both a face and a heel since he's been in the WWE. But, you know, I mean, I feel like Jericho, when he came back, was just sort of, you know, ambling on, and then he nailed it with the scarf and with the list and with the, you know, okay, you know, I'm a superstar. I have things that are expensive. I have no time for you fools. I don't think Ambrose has quite found it yet, you know, whatever, or not Ambrose, Styles. I don't think he's found that yet. Sort of the perfect.
I got to disagree with that. We'll have to agree to disagree.
Yeah. So, but you like it sort of with his, do you know who I am? I beat John Cena. I'm the baddest here.
Yeah. I don't think he's consistently great on the mic, but he's very good some weeks. He's fine others. And I think this is the best he's been on the mic in his career.
Yeah. I think he's done some great promos, but I don't know. I don't think consistently, it just hasn't done it for me. I mean, I think Dean with the sort of like, oh, I got no plan. I'm kind of crazy. I'm loose. I just, you know, half pay attention and say funny things. I think Dean works well there. And I hated when Dean was really mean and egotistical as the champion, because it didn't feel like that sort of little bit of fun wild card quality.
See, I feel like it's the other way. I feel like Dean is, I mean, you just see with the crowd reaction. The crowd's kind of losing interest with Dean. They're cheering AJ, and AJ is probably the most over babyface, despite being a heel. You know, he gets the loudest reactions of any of the male stars, at least, for sure.
And maybe that's the problem. You know, when with Rollins, after he came back, with Rollins, him technically being a heel, it felt like he had to almost kind of force being kind of mean and snarky to justify that, when the crowd clearly loved him. You know, it's kind of going against the tide, as it were.
Yeah.
I don't know. Oh, but I agree with you. The match itself was great. It was one of those matches that did not drag on. It kept going, and it had additional layers, lots of spots in it. But yeah, Ellsworth and I think AJ's tights ripping. Probably. I mean, but that was distracting, right? I mean, everyone kind of at that point was like, oh, that could be how the match was remembered. What's the biggest wardrobe malfunction before this in terms of like?
I don't know. I mean, a lot of them have been on purpose, like when, you know, Jake the Snake ripped off Rick Rude's pants. But that was, you know, that was the angle. But yeah, this is. I mean, they've had the ones with the women where, you know, you have a nip slip or something. But
in WWE clip shows in the future, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs 2016 will be talked about for AJ splitting his tights. I think that will be, regardless of, and it will overshadow the great match.
It got a ton of attention.
It definitely did. Well, because it was suspenseful. Like, we kind of knew AJ was going to retain and win, but we didn't know if his ass was going to come flying out, you know, during the match. It literally, you know, the edge of his seat kept us on the edge of our seats.
I thought, yeah, but other than that, AJ worked through it like a pro, and he was awesome in this. I mean, he's MVP of this year for sure for me.
Cool. No, and then they were talking about that too. I mean, just about how it's been almost a year. I think, I don't know, tough to think about, you know, who to even compare that. I mean, who's had a better year in their first year in the WWE, just sort of coming in how he did and just going to that level and staying at that level.
I mean, you could say the Shield. Yeah, Brock Lesnar. But yeah. I mean, you know, he's definitely had an amazing year, especially for someone from TNA, because they have that stigma to kind of fight off, you know. So
yeah. So if you're watching WWE programming exclusively, you know, AJ was in Japan. That's all we know about him. He was in the Indies in Japan and then came right to the WWE. You know.
Yeah.
So all in all, what's sort of your final thoughts on the pay-per-view itself and the entire show tonight?
Good stuff. I thought it was a good pay-per-view, but you know, it just didn't feel important. It didn't feel like a big deal. And but it was very entertaining. I thought it pretty much, you know, top to bottom, outside of the women's chairs match, I thought it was a solid show.
I thought it was good. Not the best TLC. And I feel like Money in the Bank sort of takes away some of TLC's specialness by Money in the Bank having such a big ladder match at its centerpiece. Yeah. And you know, with an actual stake, you know, it's like the Royal Rumble, you know, having that WrestleMania title shot on the line, it's huge. Although The Miz tonight, got to say it, my favorite spot when they dangle something is when they hang above the ring. Love that they did that with The Miz. Yeah. Always a fan when that happens. So yes, we touched on it earlier, but yeah. So for those that didn't see the article on Wrestling Inc. yet, Nakamura is the NXT champ again. So they're going to show that footage that they shot this week on NXT.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool,
so
man.
yeah, in Osaka, Tajiri was in action, and he revealed today that he's coming back to WWE early next year. So yeah, I think he's like 47.
Wow.
But I'm guessing he'll probably just be on NXT, but who knows?
So with that in mind, do you think he's going to have sort of a dual role of maybe doing some training in addition to working?
I mean, nothing is known right now, so outside of what he said. So I'll have to look into it.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. That doesn't really get talked about much anymore. But a year ago, that was sort of the thought, right? With NXT hiring a lot of older wrestlers that had more experience. The idea that they would come in and be sort of almost not marquee, but B+ level enhancement talent, that they would give NXT a name. They would essentially help get over some of the NXT homegrown stars.
Yeah. Hold on one second. Just got an email from someone. But keep going.
Well, I think that was the idea. I mean, it was talked about at the time with Samoa Joe. It was even talked about with Asuka. It was talked about with Rhino, certainly. This idea that NXT is going to bring in some names that mean something, some names that will attract a more hardcore wrestling crowd, people that follow the indies. It will get them invested in NXT. It will help with the live shows. And at the same time, they will put this talent up against homegrown NXT talent to help build their careers, build their characters, and give them credible feuds.
Yeah, I think right now there's NXT is hurting the main roster, and they need to start bringing some of those guys up now because you see how thin it is on SmackDown. But yeah, I think it's great to bring these guys in to help coach, especially with all this Japanese talent they're signing right now. Yeah. Having someone like Tajiri there, I think is a great idea.
So let's also talk Brock Lesnar back in the ring this week. That was in Mexico, correct?
Yeah, Mexico City. Came back, destroyed Rusev in like 30 seconds. So
really?
Yeah. So it was a really short match. And yeah, that was his first match back.
Wow.
I'm surprised they don't use that for like the WWE network, as something you could find on there, as opposed to just having it be this throwaway match on a house show.
Well, if it was a 30-second match, I mean, you don't want
to but people will still check it out.
Yeah. I mean, probably, well, in this case, probably because they would have thought it would have stepped on TLC tonight. I mean, quite frankly, with some fans, it would have overshadowed it completely.
Right. You don't have to put it live, but you just like tonight on TLC, be like, this week or, tomorrow we'll have the full Brock Lesnar match in Mexico City. Check it out on the WWE network, it just seems like a waste of a Lesnar match when you're paying so much for those. But maybe that's part of the contract, is it can't be televised. I don't know.
Although, depending on the size of the venue, they could have had cameras there.
Yeah, they definitely have cameras there. I think part of it is like his price would be higher if they were taping it for the network, and so, they can't use the matches on TV.
Yeah. See, I think Brock would just be like, I don't care if you tape this or not, as long as the check clears, I'll show up, do my 30 seconds, and then go back to my farm. Because I thought that was the reason why they did those specials in the past, because it was like they had to pay Brock, so we might as well televise it and get something out of
it. What do you mean?
Well, I thought like
you mean the other live events?
Yeah, I thought that was the reason why those were network only live specials, was basically that it was like, oh, we're paying Brock all this money anyhow, might as well put broadcast it and get some more bang for our buck.
All right. Real quick, James Ellsworth was on Talking Smack. He talked about why he helped AJ Styles retain, and he said that he did it because he believes that he can beat AJ for the title, so that's why he helped AJ win. And he said Ambrose will get the first title shot once he wins. And he said they really go back. He wasn't really turning on Ambrose. So That's on the website. You can check it out. It's on Wrestling Inc. right now.
Well, because they've had Ambrose and Ellsworth mad at each other, or they've had Ellsworth or Ambrose mad at Ellsworth before, and then like a week later it was like, no, we're good, buddy. You know, so who knows? So, but I'm telling you, with this craziness, I'm gonna peg it as 1 in 4, 25% odds. Ellsworth gets the belt. Maybe he only has the title for a minute due to some weird stipulation, but I have a feeling Ellsworth will have that title.
I think ultimately they'll come to their senses before they do something like that.
I know, man. So let me tell you this. I got a survey the other day from the WWE asking me to fill out. And right there on my list, who's my favorite male talent, James Ellsworth was like in the top 5 names you could pick on that thing.
Yeah, that survey was weird because they didn't alphabetize them, right? And it was like the names were just kind of all over the place. You had to like search for them. But yeah, Ellsworth was near the top. Yeah, they were also asking like which past stars you liked, and then you know your viewing habits, how much if you watch Raw every week, SmackDown every week. It's always interesting. They always send out these surveys, and it feels like nothing ever changes. So I never get the point.
Maybe, well, probably because whoever the vast majority of people that fill them out like who the main people are. So it's reinforcing. It's like we're pushing. You're
sending it to paying. Yeah, you're sending it to paying customers. So yeah.
So at the end of the day, and what was interesting in the past superstars, so of course they did have Hulk Hogan in there, but also CM Punk listed in there.
Yeah, Randy Savage. Yeah.
So I filled mine out, my favorite male stars. And remember, I did this strategically here in filling mine out. So I put Sami Zayn, Shinsuke Nakamura, and I did check James Ellsworth because I really just kind of want to mess with people at this point to see if that many people came back. Favorite females, I put Becky Lynch, Sasha and Bailey. And then, for favorite all time, I put Becky because I think, word on the street is they're not super crazy about her accent putting her on TV. So I figured she could use just a little extra push.
Of all time, wow.
I wanted to put CM Punk, but I have a feeling they're just going to throw those all out. Put CM Punk on there. They're going to be like, we can't take this person seriously.
Yeah.
Just on principle, not because I'm sure a lot of people check CM Punk, but I think that's still a sore subject.
Cody's asking, do you see Punk ever returning? Man, I do not. That is like the one, just because he is so stubborn, and I just do not see him coming back.
Yeah, and it'll be on him. I think the WWE would absolutely bring him back.
I think with this lawsuit, though, I think that kind of just threw it out the window. It's clear that it's had an effect. If Punk has kind of made it clear that it is hurting him financially, and he sees it as bankrolled revenge. So I just don't see how he would be able to come back after that.
Yeah, I don't know. So if people that have sued them, have any of the people in previous concussion lawsuits been brought back at any time in the future? I did notice the other day, I forgot to mention this before, on his birthday, WWE social media wished a happy birthday to Maven, Tough Enough Season 1 winner, because he was part of the earlier concussion lawsuit. I thought you said he was part of the first one when we talked about it.
Maven?
Yeah, Maven.
I don't think so.
No, maybe not. But I thought that was interesting. They wished a happy birthday to him, because when's the last time the WWE talked about Maven?
Yeah. Well, this is a little different though, because this is them suing him. Usually, or at least the WWE doctor is suing him, but it's clear that it's coming from WWE. You don't see that ever, so it's a very different situation, and they're doing it to mess with them.
Yeah. So I don't know, and I think that UFC not working out for CM Punk how he thought it was going to.
Man, my thing always was, my dream scenario for TNA was that Billy Corgan takes charge, got control of the company, made a deal with Spike to get TNA back on Spike, since they didn't like Dixie Carter after what happened with the whole Vince Russo thing, or supposedly that was one of the reasons. And then Punk agreed to come in with TNA, they rebrand, have Punk do some stuff for him, and boom, you got a viable second promotion again.
Yeah, it would be huge.
But
they could get a lot of, and not only that, I think that would have brought in other that would have attracted more talent, I think, because if CM Punk were there. I think you get a lot of guys that would want to be a part of that.
Well, it just would have gotten so much attention if they were able to pull that off, and CM Punk ultimately getting the last laugh at the end, because he's bringing all these new eyeballs to a direct competitor to WWE. So that was always I knew it wasn't going to happen, but that was my little fantasy booking business wise of what I would have loved to have seen if Punk were to come back, something like that. But so we've gone completely the other way with TNA.
Yeah. What's up with TNA now? I guess Billy Corgan's been out giving some interviews, right?
Yeah. I mean, he's clearly not happy with Dixie Carter. Clearly no love lost there, and he seems okay with Anthem taking over, and I think he's he's done with TNA, and TNA is going to go forward. I don't think we're going to see anything different. So they're going to do like 4 tapings a year, where they tape for a week or so and show those for months, and then do it again.
Interesting, man. Well, they somehow managed to keep on keeping on. So we'll see what happens there. Yeah. Cool, man. So before we wrap up, of course, we'll be back tomorrow night, right after Monday Night Raw ends, with myself, Raj, and Matt Morgan to talk all about Monday Night Raw. Raj and I will be back here Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern time, to talk about SmackDown Live and the fallout from tables, ladders, and chairs. Talk about what I'm sure is just going to be a historic match between James Ellsworth and AJ Styles Tuesday night on SmackDown Live. Raj, any stories people should look for on the website in the next 24 hours? I know we got a recap up of TLC. We've got a recap of Talking Smack up there, and anything else people should look for?
I mean, it's going to be a busy couple of days, so keep checking out.
Cool, everyone. Well, thanks for tuning in to the Wrestling Inc. podcast. We greatly appreciate it. If you like us, subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, leave us a rating or a review. And until next time, I'm Glenn Rubenstein, and I'll see you back here on the Wrestling Inc. podcast. Take care.